Council President Solomon, Majority Leader Yurden, honorable members of the Providence City Council, and residents of our great capital city, I thank you for this opportunity to address you tonight and present my proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for your support over the last several months. As we continue to tackle the challenges facing our great city, it is the tremendous spirit of the people of Providence that keeps me energized every day. Mr. President and members of the City Council, nearly 2 months ago, on March 3rd, we stood together as I revealed to the city and state the extent of the fiscal crisis facing our capital city. My Municipal Finance Review Panel revealed that we face a $109 million structural deficit for the upcoming fiscal year. I described our situation as a Category 5 fiscal hurricane. I said it on that day, and I reaffirm now that shared sacrifice is required if our city is going to emerge from this financial storm. Shared sacrifice is more than a phrase. Shared sacrifice is the realization that everyone must help in order to save our city. Every citizen, every city worker, every taxpayer, every business, and every organization, including tax-exempt institutions, must share part of the burden of saving our city. The budget that I'm about to present to you is built on shared sacrifice. It will be painful for all, but necessary to return our city to firm financial footing. After receiving the report from my Municipal Finance Review Panel describing the size and scope of the city's deficit, I took immediate action. Because leadership starts at the top, I took a 10% pay cut. Along with several members of this City Council, I declined my public official pension. I ordered immediate layoffs of non-union staff to save us approximately $2 million. I also froze non-essential spending and hiring. But I knew then that these steps were not enough. The budget I am presenting to you tonight represents the next step in our fight for fiscal security. That is why this budget extends these cuts across all city departments. These cuts are real and will be felt by all who use city services, but they are unfortunately only the beginning. In the spirit of transparency that I promised the people of our city, let me be very clear. This budget is based on several cost savings and revenue goals which we must achieve. Providence stands on the edge of a financial precipice. If we are unable to achieve the cost savings and revenue goals in this budget, the free fall of our city over the edge will lead us into dark, uncharted territory. The goals I am speaking of depend on cooperation from public safety and public employee unions, the General Assembly, and our city's tax-exempt institutions. We cannot put the city on firm financial footing without their assistance. In the budget, we must achieve the following goals: a 10% savings in both the police and fire departments, which still needs to be negotiated. Passage by the General Assembly of key legislation which will help the city reduce costs and increase revenues. Increase payments in lieu of taxes from our city's tax-exempt institutions. Achieving these goals will not be easy, and while the alternative seems too much to fathom, it is a distinct possibility. The men and women who keep Providence running are critical partners in this process. We look to them, our city employees, to share in the sacrifice because we cannot balance our budget or deliver essential city services without them. Salary and benefits of city employees constitute the overwhelming majority of our city's budget. Of the $635 million in public expenditures last year, $465 million was spent on salary and benefits, nearly 3/4 of all spending. Aligning revenues with obligations, therefore, necessarily requires tough decisions regarding the city's employees. I have said repeatedly that this shared sacrifice begins with me, and I'm proud to say that this budget reflects a 13% cost reduction in the mayor's office. However, that is only the beginning. I asked for our city workers to join me in this sacrifice, and the first union to step forward to help the city was Local 1033. Through the leadership of Donald Iannazzi and Vicky Virgilio, we reached a deal with the union which will save the city millions of dollars while ensuring that we can still deliver basic services to our residents. The members of 1033 took a pay cut their longevity pay, and increased their health insurance co-pays. Through their actions, the members of 1033 led by example and will save the city over $26 million over the next 4 years. While all other unions have come to the table to negotiate and try to help the city, we have been unable to come to agreement on their share of the sacrifice. To be honest, this has been very disappointing. I'm disappointed that they have not yet joined with the rest of us and with their brothers and sisters in 1033 who have indicated their willingness to be a part of the solution. I'm hopeful that after tonight's budget presentation, they will recommit to joining us in forging a new path ahead. Let me speak specifically about how this budget affects the teachers, children, and families of the Providence school system. As a product of our public schools, I'm a living reminder of the crucial role that education plays in our city, state, and country. I care about the children who each day carry their dreams into the classrooms of our public schools, because not long ago, that was me in those same classrooms. I want to see our students succeed more than anything else and know that the challenges are many. Our schools faced a $28 million deficit. I'm glad we live in a country that allows you to come to the seat of government and protest your elected officials without having to make decisions. Our schools faced a $28 million deficit. To balance the budget, we were forced to take decisive action. We sent out termination notices to all of our teachers in order to maintain maximum flexibility and save us millions of dollars. We made significant cuts in administrative capacity as well, eliminating positions at central offices to ensure that district leadership was as lean as possible. And even with level funding for next year, more cuts need to be made in order to balance the school budget. To our city's teachers, families, and students, I ask for your patience, faith, and help as we continue to negotiate more cost savings moving forward. But as we stand here tonight, I'm relieved to say that the Providence School Board is meeting to adopt a process for rescinding termination notices for most of our teachers. We've also begun to restructure our schools closing 6 and reopening 1 as an elementary school. These school closings were heart-wrenching and difficult. And let me say to those who are directly impacted that I understand how tough these last months have been for you. Believe me when I say that I would not have accepted these closings if we did not believe they were absolutely necessary for the financial well-being of our schools in our city. I would like to thank the Providence School Board for their courageous action. To those who question our actions with respect to Providence schools, know this. Cuts to our schools has been the most difficult action I have taken as mayor, and it's something that I will always carry with me. But I'm absolutely convinced that our actions were in the best interest of the city and in the best interest of all of our students. And I'm more determined than ever tonight to build an urban school system that is the envy of cities across America. Beyond schools, let me speak about our public safety officers, the men and women of our police and fire departments for whom I truly cannot overstate my unyielding respect. Every day that they report to work, they put themselves in harm's way, every single day. Few others can say that. Asking these brave men and women to sacrifice even more on behalf of our city is not a request I make lightly. Our police officers protect us 24 hours a day. While we sleep, they stand guard. I respect their work and commitment to public safety. They have been without a contract since 2007. And you and I know they deserve better. But just as they protect our city from physical danger, so too must they act now to save our city from financial danger. As we close schools, lay off workers, cut pay, we need our officers to help us stay safe, but also save money. That is why this budget reflects a 10% reduction in cost for the police department. How we get there is negotiable, but let me be clear, we must get there. Accordingly, we will continue to negotiate with the Fraternal Order of Police to agree on savings so we can avoid drastic cuts to the police department. But make no mistake about it, I will do whatever is necessary to get our city through this fiscal hurricane. Like our police department, our fire department performs invaluable service for the city and the public. I spent the day with our firefighters and learned more than I can say. I put on your gear and traveled up and down stairs with the added 40 pounds. However, there was a big difference. I did it in the safety of your firehouse, while you do it surrounded by flames and smoke. You consistently put yourself in harm's way for the good of our city. Like our city's police officers, the city needs you to do more. We cannot put out this fire without you. Like our police officers, I have budgeted a 10% reduction in cost for the fire department. How we get the reduction is in your hands. I ask you to join us to save our city and avoid legal wrangling. But make no mistake about it, I will do whatever is necessary to get our city through this fiscal hurricane. I will speak next about our city's tax-exempt colleges and hospitals. As my Municipal Finance Review panel reported in March, almost half of the property in the city is tax-exempt. However, no one is exempt from the sacrifice we need to make to save our city.